Hello, folks. I am back, and this time I'm here to talk about a controversial firearm. It is the Sig Sauer P320. And the subject of this is what should you do if you own a P320? But before I get to that, I would like to let you know about Core Essentials belts and accessories. They have expanded their line to not only belts, to battle belts, to gear that you could put on your battle belts. Also, they also have a backpack. I did a review on that. So if you need to check them out, go to their website and you can use my discount code Keenan10. That's Keanon and the number 10 all together. Also, check out Calculated Kinetics. They are a company that puts out various different accessories. I purchased one of their optic plates, which works very good on my Walther PDP. So check them out, Calculated Kinetics, and also a discount code is going to be KG2024 all together. Let's get right into the heart of the subject here. Like I said, unfortunately, there was a tragic incident with a airman, and it's still under an ongoing investigation. I will not make any assumptions of what happened or anything like that. That is up to the investigators that are handling that. One of the problems that we've heard over the past, maybe a couple years now with the P320 is that the accidental discharges or the drop discharges. You've heard this before. And the thing about it is, I really love the P320. The P320 shoots very well. This is one of mine. I have 4 of them. And the thing about it is, what drew me to pause with the P320 line was, it started first when I started hearing everything that was said. And I chalked it up as negligence. Negligence of people that had the firearms, negligence of sometimes with police officers, because police officers do not maintain their equipment and so forth. And how I know this is because I was an officer myself. But unfortunately, there have been some serious incidences where officers were getting injured. And the one video that I drew pause on, and I wish I had it to show you, was an officer pulled over a vehicle for a car stop. He walks up to the vehicle and he did not take the firearm out the holster or anything like that. As he approached the car to talk to the driver, the firearm actually went off. That made me, and that really convinced me not to carry the P320. I used to carry the P320 appendix, so you know that I automatically stopped carrying that firearm immediately. Again, like I said, I have 4 P320s ranging from the X5s to AXG models to this model. This model is one of my favorite firearms. But I think the problem is that SIG is not addressing this issue properly, and everybody is up in arms about this. I've heard of a lot of complaints from people, and there are people that are basically about to boycott Sig Sauer. I'm a person that really doesn't believe in a whole lot of boycotts unless it's warranted, but think about the last couple boycotts people started, and they were thinking about with Springfield Armory, and then they had another one that they were thinking about with another Daniel Defense, and we saw how far those boycotts went. But I think with Sig Sauer, the problem is they're not addressing this situation properly. They are not really helping out their consumer base, and their consumer base is what makes them. And it's a shame that this is going on. So what do you do if you own a P320? Well, I'm going to tell you something. The first thing people are going to think of is, let me trade it in. Let me take it to my retailer and trade it in. Guess what? That's not going to work. The retailer is not going to take all those 320s back because of this incident. How are they going to resell those? He's going to be stuck with a lot of P320s. It doesn't make sense for him to take those in. And I know a lot of stores, including mine, we're not taking P320s. So what do you do at this point? Do you do a private sale to someone else? You could, but I would have a problem with my conscience doing something like that. But the thing about it is, it's not handled right from SIG. I will back any American firearms company if they're trying to do the right thing or they try to self-correct issues. But this has not been done properly. One of the things is they're saying, well, it's maybe the only firearm that I have, the only firearm that I own. How am I going to navigate carrying a SIG P320? Well, I'm going to show you just a quick little video. This was done by the Israeli MSAD. The Israeli MSAD did this training video, and they did it with a Glock. And we know how safe Glocks are and their reputations are, but he did this particular video showing how he had his soldiers trained for this. What he did was there was no magazine. There was a magazine in, and I forgot to show clear for the YouTube gods. It is an empty firearm. So one of the things that the Israeli MSAD did, they loaded up their magazines and put it in the firearm, but they never, ever racked around in the chamber. They never did that at all. What they would do is they would draw and then rack, keeping the firearm downrange, and then they were able to shoot their target. So this is part of the video. I'm going to cut the sound off, so I'm just going to let you see what he's showing right here. Now, as you see in the video, you see he's drawing from the holster. He's keeping the firearm at eye level, and he's going to tell you that he's going to rack the slide and push out with the firearm, and that's how they train with this particular firearm. So a lot of you are going to probably say, I won't have time to do that. I won't have time to put to take the firearm out and rack it. Look, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just tell you this is one way that they did this training. And yes, I did this training before as well, with basically just a round that's not in the chamber, pulling it from the holster and racking it. Will it work? I don't know. I think a lot of you are having these flashbacks of when you're watching Terminator 2 Judgment Day, when Arnold walks up to a biker. The biker tries to rack the slide, and Arnold snatches it from his hand. Maybe that's what you're thinking about. But I don't know a clear, direct answer for that. One of the other things that I really am on the fence with Sig Sauer is they have a very good product line. And there have been people talking about we should boycott Sig Sauer, this, that, and the other. I fell in love with Sig Sauer products. It's all started with the P226, which is my favorite double action, single action firearm. And that's what I actually fell in love with. And the problem, there was no problem with that firearm. And that firearm alone basically put SIG on the map, if you want, in my personal opinion. I think it put SIG on the map because of the Navy SEAL contract, etc. And that's what everybody was happy about with the P226. The consumers were expecting good things when they started to go into striker fire firearms. And once they went into striker fire firearms, SIG was all the rage. Everything was good. Everybody was trying to beat Glock, and SIG was a very good contender. I personally like the P320 as one of my favorite striker firearms. But the problem is these issues, these safety issues that go on, and it draws me to have pause with it. I still shoot this firearm, but guess what? I take it to the range. I lay it down on the table. When I'm ready, I get a magazine. I place it in and rack it, keeping it downrange and my finger off the trigger. I unload it and take it home in my bag because I'm not going to carry this on my hip. And this is where the reputation of SIG is going to fail, because people are not going to trust this firearm. People are not going to carry this firearm. Yes, they are having big success out of their P365, but it's the P320 that's ruining the reputation of SIG. I love a lot of my SIG products. I mean, I have everything from the MCX to the MPX and some of their 1911s, but this is not right for a company to do that. The Sig Shooters, they're professional shooters. Daniel Horner, Lena Michalik, and I just drew a blank, but they're 3 top shooters. I cannot imagine what they're doing when they go out in public, and sometimes people recognize them, and they must be getting approached on this. And it's not fair to them that they get approached because of this incident. Maybe some people will have the respect not to go over to them and talk to them about it. And I know people are itching to ask questions about this situation. The one shooter that I can't think of, I couldn't think of his name. I had to cheat and pause the camera a little bit, but it's Max Michel. Max Michel has won like championships with this firearm, with the P320. And he's also talked about their new version of the P320. How do you think sales are going to go at this point with all the controversy? I think it's pretty much SIG is putting those professional shooters in a bad position, that they feel like they have to defend the company. But SIG needs to own up to the liability end of this. They need to really, in my opinion, and I'm not a financial person, and I don't know how to run a company, but I would think that they should stop production of the P320 out of respect for their consumers, as well as people who were injured. And now that we have a situation where there is a U.S. serviceman that has now tragically lost his life. Just understand that what I mentioned about the serviceman is still under investigation, and I'm not trying to make any accusations towards SIG or anything of that nature, but there was a P320 involved, allegedly. So you really have to think about what you're going to do with this firearm in the future. Like I said, there's no other option but to keep it and to shoot it at the range safely. And the only other thing that needs to be done is SIG needs to own up to this. I would prefer that SIG start over from the drawing board and pretty much make another 320, but also with safety enhancements, and show your consumers all the safety enhancement, as well have independent safety testers, as well as the military testing along with law enforcement. I'm not a hater of SIG. at all. And I'm not trying to boost SIG up. Like I said earlier, I am the person that wants every American company to be successful in the firearms industry. But however, when you're making situations where you're pretty much thumbing your nose to the public, that's not a good look, and that's not safe, and it's lack of respect for your customer base. With that said, happy shooting, stay safe, #2A.